is Liza from Wildly Native Flower Farm talking to you today on the Flower Files. Today I have a little treat for you. You guys all know already that I'm a plant nerd. And today I wanted to take a little bit of time because we're close to Halloween to chat a little bit about flowers that are actually poisonous. There's a few here that will probably surprise you. We surround ourselves all day long with flowers. We grow them, we use them, we love them. We're constantly around them. And when we're working a wedding or we're putting together an arrangement or we're doing anything with flowers, oftentimes there are inspiration pics that people will send to us. And sometimes those pictures include flowers on cakes or cupcakes or something like that I look at and I'm like, oh, that shouldn't be on there. I think ranunculus is probably the top one that I see used most frequently in pictures. I'm like, that can't be on there because one of the side effects of being in contact with ranunculus is it can make your lips swell. And we're not talking like the good kind of swell, Botox kind of swell. We're talking allergic reaction kind of swell. So it got me to thinking the other day, it's around Halloween. You have all of your witches with your brews and your toil, and trouble, boil, toil. I clearly don't know that rhyme. But you have all of your herbs and flowers that have changed over time. And many times people would make teas or tinctures. And if you have the education to use something correctly, you know the right dose. But too much of a good thing can cause issues. So today I wanted to chat a little bit about some of those poisonous plants that may be around you more than you realize. So I'm going to grass hop for a second here. My daughter absolutely loves ketchup. She is a ketchup fiend. Ever since she was little, she put ketchup on everything. But if she had lived back in England in the 1700s, they would not have touched a tomato. Tomatoes are technically part of the nightshade family, which is the solanaceous family. And solanaceous actually is a group of plants that is one of our probably most utilized plant, but it is a cluster of plants that some of them are actually poisonous. So it's in the same family, tomatoes are in the same family as nightshade, which is crazy to me. Jimson weed, which also is crazy, but it's also in the same family as potatoes and also in the same grouping as peppers. So you have a bunch of perennials and annuals that are all considered in the same family. So some of them are toxic and some of them are not. And I figure that goes with some families. Some people have family members who are toxic and some who are not. But I digress. So the mistaken idea about tomatoes being poisonous is probably because those aristocratic society folks actually used pewter plates, which in the process of creating those plates actually had some lead in it. So the tomatoes are acidic and it would let the lead kind of interact with the tomato. So that's where they think some of that was kind of, maybe that's where some of that kind of came from. So, but belladonna, also known as deadly nightshade, creates blurred vision, fever, fast heartbeat, inability to urinate or sweat, hallucinations, spasms, mental problems, convulsions, coma, and other side effects. So not something that you definitely want to kind of play with or have anything in your system come into contact with. So belladonna, nightshade, definitely not a good one. Not a good one to be in contact with whatsoever. So I want to chat a little bit about some of the other deadly flowers that I bet you some of these are probably even in your garden or some maybe in your medicinal cabinet. You may not even know. But some of my favorite ones that surprised me. I think most people know foxglove and larkspur, which is part of the delphinium family. Those flowers are all toxic. When we buy the seeds, they actually have it right on the packet of seeds. All parts of this plant are poisonous. They have a warning label right on that packet of seeds. That includes the stems, the leaves, the seeds. Everything about those two plants is incredibly poisonous, which is crazy because you look at a foxglove and they have such dainty little petals and flowers, and they're such a happy flower in the spring. They come in so many shades of colors. There's so many really neat uses for them. They hold up well out of water. To me, they always look like a fairy could totally be dancing on them. They are so pretty, but they are really poisonous. Same thing with larkspur and delphinium. They have beautiful shades. Delphinium has an absolutely gorgeous hue of blue, and it is really, really, really poisonous. I also found it interesting. I did not know that lily of the valley was poisonous. These guys come out in the spring. They're a beautiful flower. They have such this light scent. I feel like that is one of the first spring flowers that really have a neat scent. And they're all in the woods and they're beautiful. Poisonous. Another flower that's poisonous that I had no idea until I started to look at this is daffodils. Daffodils are also poisonous. I was like, what? Had no idea. Poisonous. A few others on here. Rhododendron and azaleas are both poisonous. Did not know that. Mistletoe. Now, I knew mistletoe was poisonous. I knew that was something that you just couldn't, wasn't something that you would. The berries are poisonous, and there's so many parts of that plant that are poisonous. And it's beautiful, and it's a Christmas tradition, and all of those things, but it is definitely a poisonous plant. Monk's hood is another one that is poisonous. Wolfsbane is another one that is poisonous. Hydrangeas are poisonous. That was another one that I was like, what? How are hydrangeas poisonous? Yeah, didn't know that. So you definitely don't want to use that on your cakes. There's another plant, which is a tricky little guy or girl or creature or however you plant. We'll just leave it at a plant. The Queen Anne's lace. So Queen Anne's lace looks very similar to hogweed. Hogweed grows a little bit bigger and it's shaped a little bit differently. Queen Anne's lace won't burn or cause issues for you if you touch it, where hogsweed creates all kinds of issues. We've got hemlocks. So there's poison hemlock and water hemlock. Both of the hemlocks are poisonous. Lantana. This is one. I love lantana. It is such a versatile plant when you're trying to find something that likes the hot and dry of summer. Those are poisonous. I had no idea that lantana was poisonous. Jimson weed. I think Jimson weed is a super cool plant to look at. It's got the fuzz of like a tomato, but it has these really long upside down tubular flowers. They come in a couple different colors. They are so neat and so pretty. And I was so disappointed that they are so poisonous. I was like, oh my gosh. I would be remiss if I did not call out the trio of death, as I call them, because I am highly allergic to poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac. Some people aren't allergic to them. My mom, totally not allergic. I did not inherit that gene. I inherited the gene of, oh, look, there she is. We're going to jump on her. And yeah, I get poison ivy. So sumac actually is a really neat plant, and there's parts of it that are great, and there's different varieties. But I'm such a chicken when it comes to sumac. I'm like, it's sumac. It's beautiful in the spring. There's some that have gorgeous flowers. They are absolutely stunning in the fall as the leaves change, but it's something that I have made it a personal rule, unless I am absolutely certain, because there's a plant specialist beside me who can tell me, yep, that one's safe to touch. I do not touch it because I do not want anything that is going to potentially make me itchy like that. Morning glory is another one that's poisonous. The seeds in particular really are concentrated. So morning glory is beautiful, but you want to make sure you're not around anything that is going to eat any parts of it. I know there's always stories on Dateline of, oh, such and such's husband went missing and she was accused of poison and all of that kind of stuff. I feel like it's not in your face murder with a gun or a knife or something like that. Poison is like slippery. You just drop a little bit in here, you drop a little bit in there. The tales of the women who slipped poison into their husband's drink and turns the loving, oh, look, I made this pie for you, or look, here's your hot coffee for the day, and they don't know that there's strychnine or nightshade or something like that. In 17th century Italy, it was a woman who capitalized on the phenomena. She created a colorless, tasteless concoction from arsenic and belladonna, nightshade, and disguised it as powdered makeup that could be like discreetly on the vanity table, and allowed women to gradually add the poison to their husbands' meals to create an illusion of illness over time. Because, I mean, if you have a sudden death, oh, wow, okay. But if they're slowly sick, slow. So I feel like when you talk about poisonous flowers, that's one of the first things that kind of pops into most people's heads when they think about things like that. Let's see. It's such a juxtaposition of taking something of beauty and making it deadly. Like, hey, come here, I'm pretty. Okay, let me kill you. Like, it's a weird, I don't know, it's it's kind of crazy. It's absolutely kind of crazy. So, but the use of poison from flowers has been not just well documented, but also spoken of so many times when you look at books and things like that. So in Hamlet by Shakespeare, poison is used a couple ways in that. Once it's used to kill the king. I think he poisoned his brother. I can look that up. Once it was used to win a duel because they poisoned the blade, and once to poison the wine. So they gave you all of these stories with all of these Shakespeare and all of this wonderful stuff, and he is just he's got poison wrapped all through there. Then you have how else? And I think it's funny how some of these plants actually don't look that intimidating when you first look at them. I think, Socrates was killed by poison hemlock because of the accidental ingestion. There's a lot of places over time where plants have been used or accused of just a variety of different ways that they have involved in creating issues. Physical contact with some of the leaves can cause issues for some folks. So there's a lot of different ways that plants have been accused of causing issues for health over time. So I think the 7 deadliest plants, let's see, the top 7 of the world. Now listen, everybody's going to have a different spin on this. There's going to be different perspectives. But I know hemlock is up there. You've got hemlock, you have the nightshades, you have Jimson weeds, you have there's so many different ones. But here's a twist. here's a fun little fact, which is why I figured you guys probably watch some of this stuff or listen. We will eventually get to watch it. There is actually a whole garden dedicated to poisonous plants in England. So in England, they have the Poison Garden at Alnwick in Northumberland, and it's filled with toxic, intoxicating, and narcotic plants. So it has about 100 plants: hemlock, foxglove, nightshade, which it also has the source of strychnine and ricin. Oh, and ricin, fun fact, that comes from castor oil bean. So the process of getting the castor oil ready for use pulls out some of the poison in the way that it's processed. So there's definitely some things, if you think about poinsettias. Poinsettias are a Christmas flower that everybody is familiar with. And I feel like so many people don't buy them because they're like, oh, it's poisonous. It's like, well, if you eat a whole plant, it's going to be poisonous. And that's one of the things to consider when you're thinking about adding certain things to your garden. Clearly, you're probably not going to plant nightshade because it is so toxic at such a small level. But when it comes to morning glory, that has less toxic per volume. So, first of all, deciding if you actually want any of those plants in your garden. If you have a kid who is super into putting everything in their mouth, probably not a good idea. Depends on your dog. Is your dog going to go out? Your cat, your chickens, your whatever. So there's a lot of considerations when you're planting different things in the garden. But knowing their use and knowing their toxicity level really, really matters. So back to the poison garden. So they have about 100 plants. The visitors must take a safety briefing and are only allowed to enter the garden on guided tours. Obviously, I can't imagine the waiver you have to sign for this. You're not allowed to touch, smell, or taste any of the plants. The main purpose is to educate the visitors about the positive and negative aspects of various poisonous plants and to show how many of them are even found in your ordinary garden. I go back to my lantana. That is everywhere. And it says, while no one has died from visiting the garden, some people have fainted after ignoring the no touch and no sniff rule. I also wonder what part of that is like some people are just so stressed out that they're in there that they pass out. I don't know. So I thought that was an interesting aside that I found as I was doing a little research on some of this. So poisonous flowers can be found absolutely all around us, and it's fascinating how many of them are things that we're already used to and that we've already seen. I would love to hear from you guys, and drop me a line, put a little note in, tell me if any of the plants that we talked about, A, you didn't know were poisonous, or B, were something that you actually have in your garden and you were like, oh, I didn't know that. Or tell me if you grow them and you just tell everybody not to touch them. That's an okay thing too. I think that concludes our episode on poisonous plants because I could really nerd out about this because there's so many stories and so many interwoven parts of it. But I hope that you and your family have a absolutely fantastic Halloween. And as you're getting ready and you're making all of your witch's brews and all of those things, you don't put anything extra in your punch. Thanks for listening, and we will chat with you guys soon.
Hey guys, just dropping a line to tell you about Patreon. So I asked them, meaning Mom and Amber, what is Patreon anyway? Because I honestly had no idea. So we're going to explain it to you from our perspective so that you understand and so that I understand.
Because the first time I saw it, I was like, Patron? We're drinking tequila? Great. So Patreon is for less than a cup of coffee, those fancy coffees that y'all like, a day, you can sign up to become one of our members.
A little family.
Exactly. And what does that get us?
It gets us some freebies, some special episodes that other people do not get access to. You can interact with us on a special platform where we can ask you questions and interact with you. It's tons of fun.
Mm-hmm. And even on those special episodes, we might be less censored than we are already. And we're going to have a couple fun ones that we can just kind of throw in there and talk about and laugh and go on tangents and have fun. So I hope that you all enjoy it because we're going to have fun along the way. We're crazy, crazy, crazy excited.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Back to the episode now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Gracias.